So in my last video I did a review on the Google Pixel 7 and overall I gave it quite a positive glowing review and said it was worth the asking price. Your performance and value for money was definitely there. Now since then we've had Black Friday deals and I picked up a phone from this same manufacturer that is actually half the price of the Pixel 7. So is it half the phone? Let's take a look. What's going on guys, my name is Chris and welcome to the channel. So today I'm looking at the Google Pixel 6a. Now this phone I managed to pick up for £299. Now it is Google's budget offering, so it does cut some features out that the Pixel 6 had, never mind what the Pixel 7 has. But ultimately, is it worth a £300 saving? Is it half the phone of the Pixel 7 for example? We're going to take a bit of a deep dive into that and see if this is actually the better purchase out of the two, whether or not there's enough here still to warrant not spending more for the Pixel 7. So let's have a closer look at the specs. When we look at the design and build, we do have a glass front here which is protected by Gorilla Glass 3. We have a plastic rear which you can probably hear, and then we have an aluminium shell going around the device. It is also worth noting that this device is protected with IP67 dust and water resistance. On the front of the device we do have a 6.1 inch Full HD OLED display. Unfortunately it is just 60 Hz, it's not quite that buttery smoothness we get with the Pixel 6 or Pixel 7 lines, but it's not terrible, put it that way. We do get stereo speakers on board, and we do not have a headphone jack, and we do not have expandable storage. On the inside of the device we do have the Google Tensor chip, which is not the same as the Pixel 7s unfortunately, but it is using the same as the Pixel 6s. We've got 6GB of RAM on board and 128GB of storage. That is the only storage option you can buy, and as I've already mentioned, it is non-expandable. When we look at the rear, we do have two cameras here. We have a main sensor and an ultra-wide. Both are 12 megapixel. The main sensor supports image stabilization and obviously autofocus. The ultra-wide has no autofocus and no image stabilization. Both cameras are capable of 4K video recording at up to 60 frames per second. On the front, we have an 8 megapixel shooter, which can only shoot video at 1080p 30 FPS. In regards to biometrics, we do have a under-display fingerprint sensor, just the same as basically was on the Pixel 6. I don't think it's as quick as the Pixel 7 because of the Tensor chip, but it works. And lastly, when we look at the battery, we've got a 4,410 mAh battery, which only supports wired charging up to 18 watts. There is no reverse charging and no wireless charging on board. So all the specs out of the way, where do we stand in pros and cons? Now, compared to the Pixel 7, there's only 3 pros. Price, size is slightly smaller, easier to use and hold one-handed, and weight is about 20 grams lighter. That's really it. But if we compare it to other phones in the market at £300, this has a lot of pros going for it. Firstly, overall build quality is fantastic, unbeatable really at this price. Yes, we haven't got a glass backing, we've got plastic, but it feels durable, it feels good in the hand. Not something you always get at £300. You also get IP67 water and dust resistance, not something you get at this price point. You get cameras that are unbeatable at this price point. Again, there's nothing £300, £400, even £500 that can really compete with the Pixel 6a in regards to the photos. I'll throw some samples on the screen now for you guys to just quickly have a look at. But yes, you might find the odd phone at £300 that can shoot slightly better video, because video is not a strong point on the Pixel 6a, but the overall camera experience using it and the overall actual quality of the photos is unmatched at this price point, and this phone can compete with phones more expensive. Simple as that. I think just at £300 it's a fantastic bargain. Now when we look at cons, yes, we are missing things like wireless charging, a headphone jack, a nice 90 or 120 Hz display, which you do get at this price point. But honestly, these are things I can forgive because of the price and what else you get in comparison. You know, you're not getting wireless charging, but I'm getting a fantastic camera system. But there is some cons that I did run into while using the device. Now, this is a 60 Hz display and it just feels a bit sluggish. I read reviews before getting this phone that said this, and I was a bit like, what does that mean, 60 Hz, 60 Hz? But when you compare it to something like an iPhone 12 or 13, for example, or even a 14 as a 60 Hz display, they just feel snappier. This just feels slightly sluggish for a 60 Hz display. I've also run into some issues with apps just randomly crashing or hanging and freezing on me. I don't get why, because my previous experience with Pixel 6 I never had that. Pixel 7 never had that. Very similar overall interface, so I don't get why it's kind of crashing and lagging, but I thought I'd mention it. And lastly, the auto brightness. I don't know why, but this phone constantly decides to have the brightness far too low. I have to manually go in every time, grab that notification tray down and swipe across to get that brightness back up, because it's really irritating. I have to do it probably 10 times a day. Don't get why this phone does it when the Pixel 6 and 7, etc. that I've used in the past do not do that. So, bit of a shame. But again, something that can be fixed in software updates. So we'll have to wait and see. So overall, is this phone worth £300? Without a doubt. This phone's worth £400 in my eyes. It's an absolute steal of a device. It really is. Is it worth saving £300 to get the Pixel 7? If you can save for maybe a month and then get the Pixel 7, I personally will get the Pixel 7. I can afford it, so I can buy one. If you can't afford it, it's going to take you 4, 5, 6 months to save the extra £300 to get the Pixel 7. I personally would just go for the 6A. I don't think you'd be disappointed. I think you'd really enjoy the experience. Honestly, get the Pixel 6A. It's a fantastic phone, and I really highly recommend it. And in this green, sage green colour as well. I think it looks quite cool. Well, that's it from me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please do hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button to see more content from myself. And please do drop a comment below if you've got any opinions yourself or want to ask any questions. But thank you very much for watching. Very appreciate it. Cheers.